More than a century after it sank, the Titanic is still buried under myths. Movies simplified it. Headlines dramatized it. And over time, fiction quietly replaced fact. The real story is more uncomfortable and far more human. One of the most common myths is that the Titanic was advertised as unsinkable. In reality, the White Star Line never officially used that word. What they claimed was that the ship was practically unsinkable due to its watertight compartments. The press exaggerated the claim after the disaster and the myth stuck. The tragedy wasn't arrogance alone, it was overconfidence in new technology that had never been tested under true catastrophe. Another persistent belief is that the ship struck the iceberg head-on. It didn't. The lookout spotted the iceberg in time and the crew attempted to turn. Titanic scraped along the iceberg's side, puncturing multiple compartments in a way far more lethal than a single frontal impact. Ironically, a direct hit might have caused less damage. Then, there's the idea that lifeboats were intentionally left half-empty out of cruelty or panic. The truth is more subtle and more damning. Lifeboat drills were rare, regulations were outdated, and many crew members genuinely believed the ship would stay afloat long enough for rescue. Some officers feared that fully loaded boats might collapse while being lowered. By the time the danger became undeniable, it was already too late to correct those early decisions. Another myth insists that passengers were locked below decks to prevent escape. Historical records show this wasn't policy. Class divisions absolutely existed, and confusion and language barriers slowed evacuation for third-class passengers, but there is no evidence of mass locking or deliberate imprisonment. Negligence and chaos, not villainy, caused the imbalance in survival. Many people also believe the band played cheerfully until the final second to keep passengers calm. While music was played during the evacuation, eyewitness accounts differ on what exactly was performed and how long it continued. What is certain is that the musicians stayed at their posts long after they were no longer required to a quiet act of duty rather than theatrical heroism. Perhaps the biggest myth is that the Titanic disaster was unavoidable. It wasn't. Ice warnings were ignored. Speed was maintained despite dangerous conditions. Binoculars for lookouts were unavailable due to a last-minute crew change. None of these mistakes alone doomed the ship, but together they formed a perfect chain of failure. The Titanic didn't sink because humanity was foolish. It sank because humanity believed progress had finally outpaced risk. That belief is timeless. And that's why the Titanic still matters, not as a legend, but as a warning. If you value calm, fact-driven history beyond myths and movies, subscribe to the History Vault for more such stories.